Over the years, Apple has built an empire, with the iPhone as its crowning jewel. But what if I told you that by 2030, the iconic iPhone could be on its way to extinction? Yes, you heard that right. The device that revolutionized the way we communicate, work, and entertain ourselves might be rendered obsolete within the next decade. Bold claim, isn't it? Let's dive in and explore why this prediction isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. Let's start with some context. The first iPhone launched in 2007, and it didn't just enter the market, it redefined it. The sleek design, intuitive interface, and seamless integration with the Apple ecosystem made the iPhone a status symbol and a global phenomenon. For years, it seemed untouchable, the gold standard in mobile technology. But fast forward to today, and the cracks in this once impenetrable fortress are beginning to show. Globally, smartphone sales have plateaued. Consumers aren't upgrading their devices as frequently, and the excitement around new models has significantly waned. The iPhone 16 or even the iPhone 17 might add a faster processor, a slightly better camera, or a new color option. But is that enough to keep consumers hooked? The harsh reality is that incremental upgrades don't inspire the same frenzy they did a decade ago. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The iPhone, for all its brilliance, is not immune to the forces of change. New technologies are emerging at a breakneck pace, promising to reshape the digital landscape. AR and VR, AI-powered wearables, and even brain-computer interfaces are no longer the stuff of science fiction. As these technologies become more accessible, they could challenge the very relevance of smartphones. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The decline of the iPhone isn't just about external competition. Apple's own strategies and challenges could play a pivotal role in this transformation. For instance, have you noticed how Apple is diversifying its product portfolio? The Vision Pro headset, rumored electric vehicle, an increasingly integrated ecosystem of services like iCloud, Apple Music, and Apple Fitness all point to a future where the iPhone may no longer be Apple's centerpiece. So what does this mean for Apple and, more importantly, for you, the consumer? Well, that's what we're here to discuss. Over the next few minutes, we'll unpack the factors leading to the iPhone's potential decline, the strategic shifts Apple might make, and what could replace the iPhone in the years to come. Stick around because we're just getting started. In the next section, we'll dive into the first major factor, the saturation of the smartphone market and how it's reshaping consumer behavior. When the first iPhone launched in 2007, it was a revelation, a device that changed how we viewed mobile technology. Back then, smartphones were a luxury, a cutting-edge innovation that only a few could access. Fast forward to today, and smartphones have become ubiquitous. Whether it's an iPhone, a Samsung Galaxy, or a budget Android device, nearly everyone owns one. This shift has created a new challenge for Apple, the saturation of the global smartphone market. Let's break this down. Over the past decade, global smartphone sales have reached their peak. In 2023 alone, more than 1.2 billion smartphones were sold worldwide. That sounds like a success, right? But the reality is that the growth curve has flattened. Why? Because most people already own a smartphone, and the upgrades between models no longer feel compelling enough to justify a purchase every year or two. The iPhone in particular has struggled with this. Think about the last few models. What's the standout feature? A slightly better camera? A minor boost in processing speed? A few new software tricks? For many consumers, these incremental improvements don't justify the premium price tag. Apple's reliance on yearly upgrades, once a brilliant strategy to keep consumers engaged, now feels like a treadmill that's lost its momentum. Let's also talk about longevity. Apple makes excellent devices, and that's part of the problem. iPhones are built to last, with many users hanging onto their devices for 3, 4, or even 5 years before considering an upgrade. Combine this with Apple's extended software support for older models, and you have a situation where fewer people feel the urgency to buy the latest iPhone. Ironically, the very thing that sets Apple apart, its commitment to quality, could be contributing to the iPhone's slow decline. But it's not just about consumer fatigue. Emerging markets, which once represented a massive growth opportunity for Apple, are no longer as lucrative. In countries like India and parts of Africa, Apple faces fierce competition from budget-friendly brands like Xiaomi, Oppo, and Realme. These companies offer feature-packed smartphones at a fraction of the cost of an iPhone, making them a more appealing choice for price-sensitive consumers. Even in established markets like the US and Europe, consumers are becoming more conscious of their spending. Economic pressures, rising inflation, and increasing financial uncertainty have made the idea of spending $1,000 or more on a smartphone less appealing. People are prioritizing value over brand loyalty, and that's a problem for Apple, whose brand thrives on its premium image. So what does this mean for the iPhone? It means Apple is playing in a crowded and shrinking field. As the smartphone market becomes more saturated, the iPhone will have to fight harder to stand out. But can it? Or is the iPhone destined to lose its luster as consumers look to new technologies and alternatives? In the next section, we'll explore what those alternatives might look like and how emerging technologies could render smartphones and the iPhone obsolete. As we move deeper into the 2020s, the tech landscape is changing rapidly. Innovations that seemed futuristic just a few years ago are now on the brink of becoming mainstream. For Apple and its flagship product, the iPhone, this poses a significant challenge. Emerging technologies are not just creating new possibilities, they're also threatening to disrupt the dominance of smartphones altogether. Let's start with wearables. Devices like smartwatches and augmented reality glasses are no longer just accessories. They're becoming powerful, standalone tools. Apple's own Apple Watch is a perfect example. With every iteration, it gets closer to replacing the need for a smartphone. It can make calls, send texts, stream music, and even monitor your health, all from your wrist. And it's not just Apple. Competitors like Samsung and Google are also investing heavily in wearables, pushing the boundaries of what these devices can do. Now take augmented reality, AR, and virtual reality, VR. Apple's Vision Pro headset, expected to launch in the near future, represents the company's vision for the next wave of computing. While the Vision Pro is being positioned as a high-end device for professionals and enthusiasts, it signals a broader shift in how we interact with technology. Imagine a world where AR glasses can overlay digital information directly onto your field of view. Directions as you walk, notifications as you go about your day, or even virtual workspaces. In such a world, the need to carry around a smartphone might start to feel redundant. And then there's artificial intelligence, AI. AI is transforming everything from personal assistants to photography. Devices are becoming smarter, more intuitive, and less dependent on traditional hardware. Apple's Siri, while a pioneer in voice assistants, has been outpaced by competitors like Google Assistant and Amazon Alexa. If Apple doesn't innovate quickly in this space, the iPhone could lose its appeal as the central hub of a user's digital life. But perhaps the most intriguing development is in brain-computer interfaces, BCIs. Companies like Neuralink are working on technologies that could allow humans to control devices directly with their thoughts. While this may still sound like science fiction, the progress being made is astonishing. By 2030, BCIs could become a viable alternative to traditional interfaces like touchscreens. Imagine sending a text or making a call just by thinking about it, no phone required. All of this begs the question, where does the iPhone fit into this future? The device that once defined innovation now risks being outpaced by newer, more revolutionary technologies. The irony here is that Apple itself is driving some of these changes. By investing in AR, wearables, and other cutting-edge fields, the company is effectively preparing for a world where the iPhone might no longer be the centerpiece of its ecosystem. Apple is no stranger to the challenges of staying ahead in a rapidly evolving tech landscape. The company has consistently shown an ability to adapt, pivot, and reinvent itself when necessary. As the iPhone faces increasing headwinds, Apple is leaning on its diversification strategy to secure its future. But can this strategy succeed in a post-iPhone world? One of Apple's most notable moves has been its focus on services. The launch of Apple Music, Apple TV+, Apple Arcade, and iCloud has transformed the company from a hardware-centric business into one that thrives on recurring revenue streams. These services not only bring in billions of dollars annually, but also help to keep users locked into the Apple ecosystem. For instance, if you're heavily invested in iCloud storage, Apple Music playlists, and Apple TV Plus shows, you're less likely to switch to a competing platform like Android. Another key area is wearables and accessories. The Apple Watch and AirPods have become runaway successes, each generating more revenue than many Fortune 500 companies. These products extend the Apple experience beyond the iPhone and create new opportunities for innovation. For example, the health tracking capabilities of the Apple Watch have positioned it as a leader in the health tech space, a market with enormous growth potential. Then there's the Vision Pro headset, Apple's bold foray into augmented reality. While still in its early stages, the Vision Pro represents Apple's commitment to shaping the next generation of computing. It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy that could pay off big if AR and VR become mainstream. Even if the iPhone declines, a successful Vision Pro could establish Apple as a leader in the next major tech revolution. Apple is also making strides in sustainability and social responsibility, which resonate with younger, eco-conscious consumers. Initiatives like carbon-neutral products, renewable energy use, and recycling programs not only enhance Apple's brand image, but also align with broader societal trends. These efforts could help Apple attract and retain a new generation of loyal customers, even as the iPhone's appeal wanes. However, diversification is not without its challenges. The success of these initiatives depends on Apple's ability to maintain its reputation for quality and innovation. If the company stumbles in delivering compelling new products or fails to compete effectively in emerging markets, its diversification strategy could falter. Moreover, while services and wearables are growing, they still don't generate as much revenue as the iPhone. Apple's dependence on the iPhone has been a double-edged sword. It's brought unparalleled success, but it also means the company has a lot to lose if the iPhone's dominance fades. Even with its diversified portfolio, Apple must ensure these new ventures can fill the revenue gap left by a declining iPhone. Apple's success with the iPhone hasn't come without its challenges. Over the years, competitors have watched, learned, and innovated, sometimes at Apple's expense. As the iPhone faces potential decline, the competition is only getting fiercer, and Apple must contend with both familiar rivals and unexpected challengers. Let's start with Samsung. As Apple's most consistent competitor, Samsung has carved out a strong position in the smartphone market. Its Galaxy series offers features that Apple has been slower to adopt, such as foldable designs and advanced camera technology. While Apple has opted for incremental updates to the iPhone, Samsung has taken risks, particularly in the foldable phone space. Devices like the Galaxy Z Fold and Galaxy Z Flip are gaining traction, showcasing innovation that Apple has yet to replicate. Then there's Google. With its Pixel lineup, Google has made significant strides in smartphone technology, particularly in software and AI-driven features. The Pixel's computational photography capabilities, for example, often outshine the iPhone's. Google's integration of its services, such as Google Assistant in the Android ecosystem, presents a direct challenge to Apple's tightly controlled environment. And with Android holding the lion's share of the global market, Google is well-positioned to capitalize on the iPhone's potential vulnerabilities. Chinese manufacturers like Xiaomi, Oppo, and Huawei are also formidable players. These companies have flooded the market with feature-rich devices at competitive prices, appealing to cost-conscious consumers. In markets like Asia, Africa, and South America, where growth opportunities are significant, Apple struggles to compete with the affordability of these brands. Huawei, despite facing US sanctions, has demonstrated resilience and innovation, pushing Apple to rethink its approach in these regions. But the competition isn't limited to smartphones. As we mentioned earlier, emerging technologies like wearables, AR, and AI are creating new battlegrounds. Companies like Meta, formerly Facebook, are investing heavily in AR and VR, with products like the Meta Quest series targeting both consumers and businesses. If these technologies gain widespread adoption, they could disrupt the smartphone market altogether, leaving Apple scrambling to keep up. Tesla and other tech-savvy automakers are also worth watching. As vehicles become smarter and more connected, the integration of software, AI, and entertainment systems could create new competitors in the tech ecosystem. If Tesla successfully introduces a phone or wearable device that complements its cars, it could siphon off customers from Apple's ecosystem. Even smaller players and startups can't be ignored. Innovation often comes from unexpected places, and a disruptive new technology or product could quickly capture consumer attention, making the iPhone feel outdated. Apple's response to this growing competition will be crucial. The company's brand loyalty and ecosystem are powerful advantages, but they won't be enough if Apple doesn't continue to innovate.